Attention, due to the nature of the films discussed, the Civil Gore podcast may contain adult language and themes.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 76 of the Civil Gore podcast. I am your host, Tim.
And this is Brian. And we got a fun show today, packed with excitement and COHN.
Yes, more COHN. You asked for it. You got it.
And if you didn't, well, too bad, because you're getting them.
You're still getting it.
And it's Halloween, so this year he's Candy Cone.
Oh.
Okay.
So, yeah, we got a good show for you. We decided to do the first Purge in our spirit of keeping up with timely releases. I don't know what we're doing. We're not doing movies from the 80s. We're doing things that are actually recent.
Yeah, but it's also recent because of our Halloween Horror Nights house that we went through featuring the first Purge. So I kind of was wanting to see it after that to see what the heck was going on with this house. And like I told Tim, we'll talk about it more later. But I texted him. I said half an hour in already could have thought of 15 better things to put in this house than what they put.
They need to put us as designers next year because we could have definitely done a better job.
Are you listening, Blumhouse?
So let's get right into it with our first chop. Okay, so we have to start our first chop on some sad news, and that is that Scott Wilson, best known as Herschel from The Walking Dead, has passed away. And I'll tell you, Brian, one of Kevin's friends is married to the prop guy on Walking Dead.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he spoke very fondly of Scott Wilson. He said he's really one of the nicest guys you could ever hope to meet. And basically, the same guy you saw on screen is what he was like in real life. Just a really nice guy.
Yeah, and I know I didn't really watch the show, but and I know, but everyone I've seen talk about him nothing but glowing reviews of what kind of person he was. So that's sad news indeed.
The Shockwave's horror movie Facebook group I'm on, and people were posting pictures of them with him at various cons and stuff. It just seemed like it's just a super nice guy, and every single post had just awesome things to say about how nice he was. So definitely a sad passing, especially for you Walking Dead fans who knew him as the grandfatherly Herschel, who we all knew and loved.
Yeah, was he still on the show currently, or is he already?
No, I won't give any spoilers, but he's not on there anymore.
Okay. Was it he didn't? It was seasons ago though, right? Or he's been on? Okay.
He was on one of the early seasons.
Oh, okay.
2 or 3. But anyway, so next up, my alphabet project. I combined it with one of my Halloween horror movie challenge picks.
Look at you, consolidation.
Yeah, you have to do that. That's how you do it. When you have 31 movies to watch, you have to get creative.
Yeah.
But man, Brian, this one is S is for Satan's Slaves. This is a Shudder exclusive, and let me tell you, this might be the scariest movie I've seen this year, other than Hereditary.
Wow.
It is an Indonesian ghost film. It's about a family who are caring for a dying mother. Everyone's a little scared of her, sort of like the creepy sister in Pet Sematary.
Oh, yeah, already. I'm going to retell. I'm going to get a creepy vibe from this.
And I'm not going to give anything much away other than that the mother dies and the things escalate from there. So,
okay.
It's just a very unsettling movie. They use pretty much every trick in the book to get a scare out of you, and I absolutely loved it. It was awesome. But I will say, you need to watch this one with the lights off by yourself, with the lights off, to get the full maximum effect of it, because it is really, really, really good. Yeah, like I said, it's probably the second most scary movie I've seen this year besides Hereditary.
Oh, nice. I will. I wanted to check that out. It's just I'm trying to fit so many of our horror challenges in, and I didn't have a spot for that one yet. So it's maybe I'll save it for the Shudder pick towards the end, which we didn't announce yet, but there's a little secret.
Yeah, but if you haven't done your ghost one yet, it'd be a perfect one for that.
Oh, you know what? No, I have not yet. That's actually, you're right. I mean, I had a different one set up that looked really good for that one, because I kind of, what I started to do is I got a little creative. Instead of scrambling to try and find a movie at the last minute, I actually basically took yes, okay, it's a little advantage that I have that you guys don't have out there, I guess. Just Tim and I have this, so I know what we're kind of doing. So obviously I kind of did research and basically made a little spreadsheet of my own of which movie I'm going to watch for which category. And,
I kind of did the same thing. I haven't done it all, but...
Yeah. But the advantage is we're also putting together this nice podcast for you guys. So we should get a little bit of an advantage of time since we lose some time. And we also have to watch a bonus movie for the podcast, so...
Yes. Plus, it's our game and we make the rules.
Exactly. Yeah.
So...
And Tim likes beer. Sorry, we had to bring that back.
I like beer.
Because that was funny.
Every episode.
We
should.
I
like beer.
Well, we do. So it's
I
not a lie.
Beer. I like beer.
Yeah, it's not a lie. We're drinking one now.
I'm drinking a UFO pumpkin.
Yes, and I have a
It's really
Buffalo
good.
Bills black pumpkin oatmeal stout that Julie found at Costco, and it is delicious. So
there's been some good pumpkin beers I've had this year. I haven't had a real. I don't think I've had any like clunkers yet.
No, yeah, I have not either actually.
But I drink pumpkin beer every year, so I kind of know what to avoid now because I've had so many of them that. I know which ones I don't like, and I don't buy those. So
true. Yes. Yeah. We've gotten a little bit skilled in the
pumpkin
refined, beer.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So Halloween 2018 tickets are on sale. That is for the movie, not the holiday.
Yes. Yes. Everyone can attend the holiday.
Yes.
You don't need to purchase tickets for that. Although someday someone will monetize that. And actually, I got to tell you, Universal's almost got the corner of that right now, I guess, in terms of Halloween. But yeah, so Halloween tickets went on sale. I know it's been all over Twitter and everything, but for some reason I read it and I didn't quite register that it looked like they were saying they were going to announce when it was on sale, and I just happened to look after I saw the announcement and it was on sale indeed. So I grabbed our Friday night tickets. I did not go for the Thursday because Julie and I actually have something on Thursday, which is actually, I'll talk about it for the podcast later on that week. It's an interesting little thing. I'll save it for that. And also for another reason, which I will reveal in our Halloween review episode, there's a little backstory to the Halloween movie, the new Halloween movie as well for me. So, but we'll save that for a couple of weeks. And I guess next week we'll do a preview for the movie. We'll do our little... I guess our preview of what we hope is in there and what we want to expect and kind of all the hype, get you guys ready for it. So I hope you guys get your tickets because by the time this drops now, they've been on sale for a week yet. And if you want to get opening night, I know for just the show that I looked, the seats that I prefer were already basically gone. So I got a little bit to the side. I usually try to get dead center, row 4 or 5. So we kind of got, I think row 5, but a little bit to the left, but it's not that bad. So.
And that should tell you how big this movie is. I mean, how many horror movies do you usually get advanced, like 2 weeks in advance ticket sales?
Right, and if they're there, and if they're there, who really buys them? They just sit there until like the night before. And yes, a good horror movie will always sell out opening night, but this is probably one of the few that will probably sell out ahead of opening night, which is good. And just every little scant review I see, which I'm trying to avoid, but still you see them. If you look, everything it seems to be positive. Everyone seems to be excited, so that's a good sign. And it will be, regardless of what you think, it will be a fun time that night, I am sure.
Yeah, I can't wait. And tell me about this NECA Target Ambassador program, because that sounds like something I want to sign up for.
Yeah, so here's the catch, and I wish I would have caught on to this a little bit sooner. I think it was announced a few days ago. It's a very, very cool type of thing, but it's very limited. And what it is, and I'll explain what it is. So supposing NECA and Target have come to this agreement, I guess, where you need to go into your local Target, whichever one that may be, and now granted, you need to be the first to do this. So here's where it gets hard. And you need to take a picture of their NECA section. And then you send it to them, and if you were the first to report from that Target, you have now become that ambassador. And what your job is, you have a job. So what you need to do is every Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, you have to go into the store, take a picture of it, and make sure that the display is, as they put it, like not like a child has run rampant through it. So they want to make sure that their section of NECA toys at Target are, plentiful stock, well organized, and so when you send it in, you get entered into weekly drawings for prizes. So I think it's a really cool idea, and I kind of was doing that anyway. I keep going into my Target and criticizing. If only I knew. I was just in one yesterday, and their NECA section was like almost missing, and I should have taken a picture, and I could have been possibly the ambassador to that Target. So now I may have to stop tomorrow at a Target and go take a picture and see if anyone's claimed my Target yet. Because once it's claimed, you can't claim it again. So
I don't think I want to be ambassador to our Target because our NECA section sucks. It's hardly ever anything in stock, and even when it is, it looks like somebody just went through there and like just tore open every box and beat it all to hell.
But see, that's the thing. You could save it if you show that there. They make sure that it's not like that in the future.
Yeah, that's true. I guess I'll give it a shot. I guess.
Do it, Tim. Do it. See, me, I'm in a tough area because the New York toy market, and especially Long Island, everyone goes there. So if anyone's seen this already, I know the people around here probably bolted to the Target already, like second it opened and already claimed it. But I'll try, see what happens.
All right, and we have a new Glass trailer releasing this Thursday, so we're looking forward to that one.
Yeah, really not much to say about that other than we can't wait for that movie and the trailer.
Yeah, there you go. And then this one's, I'm so excited about this one.
Oh my God, right?
Of course, we've said before, Shudder's doing a Creepshow series, and we now know that it will feature stories by Stephen King and Joe Hill.
Yes.
Which, how exciting is that? I mean, the originator of Creepshow, Stephen King.
And his son, and he was the one that was in it, right? He played a character in it too, so that's like an homage to the movies, and then you're going to get two great horror writers. I would love a collaboration too.
Joe Hill is a phenomenal horror writer. If you haven't read any Joe Hill novels, I mean, he's not the style of his dad. He doesn't literarily, is that a word? Doesn't sound like his dad in text, so it's not like you're reading a Stephen King knockoff when you read his son.
Stephen King Jr.
Yeah, he really has his own voice, and he's just an excellent. Like even if he was not related to Stephen King, he would probably be one of my favorite horror authors.
Oh, that's cool. And for those that don't know him, this could be a way to get to know him.
That's right, yeah.
Because, I mean, yeah, sure, everyone, even non-horror people know Stephen King. In fact, he's become one of those household words where they'll say, when they're talking about any scary novel, they'll say, what is it, like a Stephen King novel? So, he's like one of those. So everyone knows Stephen King. But now Joe Hill, if people start liking the things he puts forth on Shudder, this could be big for him, which will be good, even though most people in the horror industry know who he is, but the more mainstream people now get to know him.
I believe there's a TV series of his book, Nosferatu, coming out.
Oh, right. Yes, that's true. You're right.
Yeah. And then Brian's been sending me emojis. So apparently the Universal released a Halloween Horror Nights keyboard with scary emojis on it.
Yeah, well, it's actually on the official Universal Parks keyboard, and they just added a little tab for Halloween Horror Nights, just very stealthily. All of a sudden, I just noticed it was on there, and someone had tweeted about it right after I noticed it, so I was like, what is this? And I looked at it, and sure enough, so you could send like a little sticker, like I just purged, or they show a little picture of Sam, and they have one that says like Scare Zone and something. So it's a cool little thing if you like emojis and like being silly like I do, and and torturing Tim is always fun, sending him these funny things. So.
Yeah, they're great. And then I'm really excited about this one too, because I actually own a couple of the original figures. Reaction, who is, of course, the company that brings back those really retro-style figures for different licenses, they're bringing back their Universal Classic Monster action figures. They're bringing back the Wolfman, my favorite, the creature from the Black Lagoon, the Mummy, the Metaluna Mutant, the Mole Person, and the Phantom of the Opera as the Mask of the Red Death. I've got the Invisible Man one that I'm looking at here on my horror shelf, but I'm getting that creature.
Oh, of course you are. And actually, I think Steve COHN, in his update, will let us know more about that, too. So,
okay, cool. And then this one I was super excited about. McFarlane Toys is bringing back their Movie Maniacs line. If you guys remember this, they were just superly cool action sculptures of various horror icons. And Brian, this is probably the biggest regret I've ever had. I've probably mentioned it on the show before. I had almost the whole series. I had Leatherface, Jason, Michael Myers, Freddy. I had them sealed in the package. I had every one of them. And this was probably around the time I got married, and I was growing up and moving in a house, and didn't have time for that toys, and I wasn't big into horror at the time either, and I got rid of all of them, every single one of them. Yep. So I remember they had Pumpkinhead.
Yeah, and they had the Blair Witch, what their vision of the Blair Witch would look like, I guess.
So I'm really excited for this set. I will not get rid of these, I can promise you. I will be buying these.
I just hope they don't have trouble getting the licenses back, because now NECA has kind of cornered the market on horror action figures for the mainstream IPs like that. So I'm hoping they'll be able to get it back, because they're NECA is more of a they kind of do. I know it's funny because McFarlane's so big in the action figures, but McFarlane does a little bit more of about the sculpting and the detail. Where NECA's big on the boxes of it to make it look like the IP video game or video
and the accessories
tape and the accessories.
Heads.
Yeah. So I think they're different style enough to horror collectors. You can never have enough. So, but I could see like the mainstream people choosing one or two, but collectors like Tim and I probably will get both sets. Like if there's a Jason. We'll sure to be getting that at a Movie Maniacs.
But they're also lower priced than the NECA figures, because the NECA figures are running $25 on average. Yeah. Whereas I remember the McFarlane ones. I used to remember they used to run like 15 maybe.
Now they're probably going to be closer to 18 or 19. Because I think all the other McFarlane stuff the last couple of years have been that high when the last time I saw some McFarlane stuff. So
yeah, so not a big difference, but there's some difference.
It's just a different style of figure. I mean, the layman will look at it and they look similar, but I think it's just more of the I think there's less articulation for the McFarlanes, if I remember correctly.
You're probably right.
Things.
Yeah.
So
they're more like a traditional action figure,
right?
Yeah. And then finally we have I've got one more thing actually after the horror challenge update, but just to update you guys, I know we talked about it a little bit at the start. So we have released the week 2 video.
Yes.
So by the time you're listening to this, you're at the end of week 2, and we will be soon releasing our week 3 announcements of our movie challenge. Brian, I've kept up so far.
Yes.
In fact, I'm a couple films ahead right now.
Yeah, same here. I could be one ahead because of a snag where I the one I used for the vampire turned out I misread it, and it was just the character thought they were looking for a vampire, but it turned out it was not a vampire, so I couldn't count that technically in good conscience as a vampire movie. However, this was a silver lining and blessing in disguise, because I found now a fantastic one to take place of that, which is called Living Among Us, which is a found footage vampire movie from this year, which is fantastic. That's all I'll say about it. Everyone should check it out, though. Tim's already got it earmarked, I think, for a future slot.
Yeah.
And then what I love about this challenge is you get some duds in there, but you also get some gems. Like another one I loved, which I don't understand. The people just bash this all over on every review I saw, but I absolutely loved it. Was Crying Wolf, and it was just this cheesy, silly, over-the-top gore horror comedy about this group of werewolves, and it was fantastic. I loved it.
Yeah, I like it because it gives me an excuse to watch some films that I've overlooked. Like, for my vampire movie, I did Vampire's Kiss, which is the infamous Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, I can't believe you never saw that with you being such a Nick Cage fan.
I know, and that's one of those movies that I've always wanted to watch because you see so many memes about it. You see the gifs of his crazy expressions and stuff. And I finally had an excuse to sit down and really watch it. And man, oh my God. I was prepared for Nicolas Cage, but I still wasn't prepared for this movie.
Yeah. And I couldn't, unfortunately, I had seen it. I just haven't seen it in a while, so I couldn't use it as part of my, but it could be in my rewatch. Oh, well, no, actually, never mind. I'll take that back because you don't know. We have not announced that one yet, but there is another chance for me to possibly get to watch that.
Yeah. And Horror Express from 1972, another one I'd never seen that was just awesome. There's some duds in here. Like, actually, I don't have a lot of duds. Maybe House of Fears was my only real dud. That one I didn't like anything about that one.
I didn't have the duds per se. Just there were ones that were like, there's one I just didn't understand what kind of film they were trying to do. It's stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was like, it wasn't, there are no, I mean, I try and be a little bit, I try and look a little bit ahead of time before I just go nilly-willy into watching it, or willy-nilly, whatever the term is, and watching it right away. I know I said it backwards, didn't I? I was reading in Hebrew. I went, I'm back. I went the wrong way.
It's the Hebrew version of willy-nilly.
I went right to left. Sorry. Yes. Well, I did get bar mitzvah. So yeah. So yeah. So I do look up a little things, and for some reason, even with the bad reviews on that Crying Wolf, there was just something about the artwork to the poster that drew me in. And that actually was funny. One of the people's complaints, they said, based on the artwork, it looked like it was going to be this great werewolf thing. I didn't expect the comedy, when flat out, if you read the description, it kind of hints that it's a horror comedy, but whatever. People don't read.
Some people don't like horror comedy, or they don't,
True. But I think you would like this one.
Well. Yeah.
You would like this one, Tim, Crying Wolf. And it's on Amazon Prime, so it's just,
cool.
Easy to watch. So.
And I have one more thing. It was not on the rundown. I thought I would just mention it, just in case we do get to go. But Kevin and I have been looking at this haunt called Dismal Swamp.
Oh.
And it's in Watha, North Carolina, which is about 45 minutes from here. So not too far. And apparently, this is a full contact haunt. You have to be 16 or over.
Oh, wow.
And I believe it takes place in the woods. So it's a full contact wood trail haunt. Wow. And you have to sign a waiver that they can touch you. So I'm like really wanting to do this.
Oh yeah, I've always kind of wanted to do one of those grabbing ones. I don't know if I'm quite up for that crazy one that's in New York City. Was a Blackout where they could literally torture you in there. I'm like, I don't know if I'm up for that, because that to me is not the same as just being grabbed and shaken or something. This is like they put bags over your head, and I'm like, that's too much. Yeah.
I don't think this one's like that though, because they have like concessions out there, and they have stuff for the kids and stuff. So to me, it sounds like it's more of probably one they can grab you, and they're just covering their butts about.
Yeah, like they could grab your ankle or something.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be like any kind of like extreme haunt or anything. They don't advertise it as such.
And see, I remember one of the first ever haunts I had ever gone through. This is when I was living in California. It was this Gyro's House of Terror that used to tour around there. And it's funny, I was talking to Julie about this the other day, and she said that was her first too that she had went through, and we didn't even know each other at that point. But it was in this cool thing. It was in this old mill mall where that was abandoned, and so they had this whole section. It was like 2 floors, and you'd go upstairs in sequences. And I remember there was one spot where it was like a fake, because they didn't have the license, obviously. It was a fake like Texas Chainsaw Massacre scene where there was this girl tied onto a table, and she's screaming. She's like, he's coming, and you hear this chainsaw coming in, and you see the door rattle, so you think he's going to come bursting through the door. When he comes through this boo door towards the bottom of near the floor, and a chainsaw pops out and like taps someone on the leg. And I was like, I remember I thought that was the coolest thing, because they happened to tap the girl that was standing right next to me, and she literally like jumped straight up in the air. It was hilarious. And I'm like, that was awesome. And back then I don't know if there was necessarily do not touch rules or touch rules or whatever it was. I think it was just, you may get tapped or something here or there, and I don't think they counted that, so to speak. But now in this day and age, this was 20 years ago. Now you're talking about, you do that now, and without giving someone a waiver to sign or preparing them, you're in for a lawsuit. So,
yeah, I remember going to haunts when I was younger, in my teens, and like I remember one time I had a sweatshirt with a hood on it, and one of the scare actors like grabbed my hood and was like trying to drag me. Kind of thing. Like, you never could get away with that these days.
No, that was the good old days.
Now it's just random women grabbing my hood.
Yeah.
Like
that's
right.
Yeah, but she asked. She did ask.
She did ask, at least.
Yeah.
I didn't make her sign a waiver, but
yeah, it was, you had to.
All right, guys, we have a long dismemberment this week because the Halloween season's here, and so all the Blu-ray companies are just dumping their releases. So let's get right into it. This is our dismemberment for October 16th.
Wait, no, please, God! No, don't call up!
Okay, so first up, I'll just run through some reissues and steelbooks and that kind of thing that we won't go into any detail of. Steelbooks, we have a Halloween 3 Season of the Witch Shout Factory steelbook that looks pretty cool. But then again, I'm not a Steelbook fan. I don't display them that way.
Well, plus we have that great box set of Halloween.
They would just be wasted. If you like Steelbooks, I totally get it because the artwork is just phenomenal on those. But I just have no way to properly display those like that.
Right, and and with the amount, I kind of limited my collection, obviously, and there's so much coming out nowadays that to double dip for just a purely aesthetic box, I just can't do. I used to do it, but I just can't anymore. It's just too many other things I want to get.
Yeah, there's too much new stuff out there.
Yeah.
We did have a couple of reissues. The only reason I didn't go into detail on these, I did not see anything different from the previous issue, so I don't know. Sometimes they'll, especially like Universal, which both of these are come from Universal, they'll re-release them as like a Blu-ray DVD combo.
Oh,
when they used to release it just Blu-ray, so sometimes that's the only difference. In this case, we had Tremors 5 Bloodlines, of all things, and The Last House on the Left remake from 2009 were both reissued. So not much news there on those. And then on the TV front, we have the Ash vs. Evil Dead Complete Collection. So if you haven't seen that yet, and you want to own it, that's just a phenomenal series, and it's concluded now because of course Bruce Campbell says he's not playing Ash anymore. Never say never, but he's not.
Yeah, but he does want to
show.
He does want to play Briscoe County Jr. Role again, so that's good.
Yeah, and he has said that he would not be opposed to a younger actor taking over the role of Ash.
Right. So. It's well, and and he says he's never going to do it again, but he doesn't mean he might not voice it for some kind of project, possibly, or something.
Yeah, you never know. Robert Englund said he would never play Freddy Krueger again.
And look at that, he's after Beverly Goldberg. So yeah.
All right, well, let's get right into it. So, Brian, I don't pick your picks of the week for you. But I'm thinking we need to tag team these first two titles because these are both.
Yeah, we have to do it again, just like last week. Either one of them are solid pick of the week.
Yeah. So the first up is Trilogy of Terror, which we did on a way back episode. I didn't bother to look up the episode number, but we have covered this one.
Yes, which we both loved.
Loved it. 1975, released by Kino Lorber, directed by Dan Curtis, starring Karen Black, Robert Burton, John Carlin. 3 bizarre horror stories, all of which star Karen Black in 4 different roles playing tormented women. And of course, you all know Trilogy of Terror from the famous, what do you call it, the Tiki doll or the Zulu Tiki doll or whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever that thing is actually called. I think it's a Zulu.
Zulu warrior doll.
Yeah, warrior. Yeah, that was it. Yes, that was it. Thank you. Okay, there you go.
That's the segment everybody remembers, but it's still a solid film. Even the other 2 segments I thought were decent. But listen to these special features. We have a brand new 4K restoration, a new audio commentary by film historian Richard Harlan Smith, and it's film historian.
We love those.
So we love those. A new interview with composer Bob Kober. Some folks call him Rob. I call him Rob.
Yeah. You know him well enough now. You can call him Rob.
We have the old audio commentary with Karen Black and writer William F. Nolan. We have a Richard Matheson Terror Scribe featurette, a 3 Colors Black featurette, a limited edition booklet essay by film critic and author Simon Abrams, newly commissioned art by Jacob Phillips, and the cover for this is just crazy. You need to see this cover. It's really awesome. And a limited edition O-card slipcase. So just a really, really nice disc if you want Trilogy of Terror, which I don't know what the other Blu-ray releases of this have been, but I don't think there's been one as nice as this one.
And I want to say, I don't even think it's in... Is it still in print? Because didn't we try and get it afterwards, and it was very limited
we may have not. It may have not been in print when we covered it.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I mean, because we were lucky; it happened to be on, I think, Shudder at the time. But, and actually, it's funny. Karen Black was the only redeeming thing in that Mirror movie I watched for the horror challenge.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, was that a pile of turds? But she was good in it because anytime she's in a movie, she's awesome. So
yeah. All right, next up, our other pick of the week is Invasion of the Body Snatchers. This is the original from 1956, released by a new company, Olive Films.
Oh, I love films too, Tim.
Yeah, Olive Films. I don't know if they're a new company, but I think it's the first time we've ever had them on the Discmemberment. This one was directed by Don Siegel, starring Kevin McCarthy, Dana Winter, and Larry Gates. A small-town doctor learns that the population of his community is being replaced by emotionless, Alien Duplicates. So, if any of you have never seen the original, I mean, although the remake from the 70s is very, very good. With, oh my god, I just blanked on Senior Sutherland's name.
Oh, Donald Sutherland. Sorry.
Donald Sutherland.
Hey, yeah, I'm like reading down, and I'm like, and I'm missing your call to help for help, and
I'm like, it's Kiefer Sutherland's dad. What's
I was
his name?
scrolling down for something.
Well, I kept wanting to say Don Sutherland for some reason, but I guess that is his name.
You just know everybody. You know all their nicknames now.
I guess.
Don Sutherland, Bob, whatever his name is.
I call him Donnie sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah, you know.
I don't know what it is with me and my nicknames.
D-Sub. Yeah, you know, you got them all.
So this one is a packed. Oh my god, it's a packed disc.
It's like half the page. I got to scroll just to get to the bottom of this thing.
Yeah, it's a new high-def restoration, an audio commentary with film historian Richard Harlan Smith. Hey, guess what? That's the same guy that did the Trilogy of Terror commentary.
He's been busy.
He has been busy. Audio commentary with actors Kevin McCarthy and Dana Winter and filmmaker Joe Dante.
I have a
That's
funny
cool
story.
that you get actor commentaries for a 1956 film. That's pretty rare.
And I actually have a funny, did I tell you that story with Kevin McCarthy and Joe Dante where I feel bad because Kevin McCarthy was not in the greatest shape and it was at a Chiller convention and I was buying his autograph on a poster and COHN happened to notice that there was a already signed Joe Dante poster. So he thought that would be really cool. He's like, get that one. It's already signed. You get 2 for the price of 1. So I did, except Kevin McCarthy did not pay attention. He signed right over Joe Dante's name. So I basically have a scribbled mush autographed matinee poster.
Oh,
so, yeah.
man.
But it's okay. It makes for a good story. And I love Kevin McCarthy because especially my favorite line he does is no horror related, but when he goes, UHF station! You remember that from UHF. So.
Oh my gosh. So this one also has The Stranger in Your Lover's Eyes, a 2-part visual essay with actor and son of director Don Siegel, Christopher Tabori, reading from his father's book, A Siegel Film. That's a feature right there.
Yeah.
The Fear is Real, filmmakers Larry Cohen and Joe Dante on the film's cultural significance. I No Longer Belong, The Rise and Fall of Walter Wanger. Film scholar and author Matthew Bernstein discusses the life and career of the film's producer.
This special feature name drops everybody in the film industry, I think, so far.
Sleep No More, Invasion of the Body Snatchers Revisited, Never Before Seen Appreciation of the Film, featuring actors Kevin McCarthy and Dana Winter, along with comments from film directors and fans John Landis, Mick Garris, and Stuart Gordon. That's cool.
Wow, that's a really cool group there for that.
The Fear and the Fiction, The Body Snatchers Phenomenon, Never Before Seen interviews with Kevin McCarthy and Dana Winter, along with film directors John Landis, Mick Garris, and Stuart Gordon, discussing the making of the film, its place in history, and its meaning. 1985 archival interview with Kevin McCarthy, hosted by Tom Hatton. Return to Santa Mira, an exploration of the film's locations. What's in a Name on the film's title. A gallery of rare documents detailing aspects of the film's production, including the never-produced opening narration to have been read by Orson Welles. An essay by author and film programmer Kiera Janice, an original theatrical trailer. So, man, that's an awesome disc. I want to buy this right now and go through it.
I know. This would literally take a year of your backlog project.
That's why I have to finish my backlog project.
Right,
so
just
for
for
like
this.
this, I can just buy them and I can just spend 2 weeks on that one disc.
Yeah, you need this one.
Next up, Dracula AD 1972. This one's coming at us through Warner Archive, directed by Alan Gibson, starring Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, Stephanie Beacham, Johnny Alucard. Wink, wink, backwards, Dracula backwards. That just bugs me. It's so overdone.
Yeah.
Johnny
or
Alucard,
it's better than, what was the other one? Dr. Akula was from something?
Oh, yeah.
What was that
Dr.
one?
Akula, that's right. What was that from?
I don't know now.
Oh my god, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Johnny Alucard raises Count Dracula from the dead in London in 1972. The Count goes after the descendants of Van Helsing.
See, and now I need to get this too because that's my birth year movie. So.
Yeah, this is a brand new remaster. I've seen this movie actually, and it's got an extended 1970s dance sequence.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very dated. Oh my god! Like they basically said, you know what? We're gonna name this movie 1972 to date it, but then we're going to put every aspect of 1972 in this movie so that it will serve as a historical archive for decades to come of what 1972 looked like.
Yeah, just in case you missed it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, oh my God, it is like it's dated, but it's got Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing, so it's actually
I mean, you get right there alone, you know. Yeah, it's worth every penny right there for those two. So,
next up we have a double feature, and this one is a kind of a nature horror feature. If you want to get into that. So the first title, this is a Nightwing / Shadow of the Hawk double feature. So Nightwing is from 1979. Oh, by the way, this is released by Mill Creek Entertainment. Nightwing is from 1979, directed by Arthur Hiller, starring Nick Mancuso, David Warner, and Catherine Harold. Killer bats plague an Indian reservation in New Mexico. So,
interesting. So there's a lot of. Nightwing. So we didn't mean to spoil the entire film for you there with that synopsis, but
yeah. So it's not the highly anticipated Nightwing superhero movie, which is what I've been dying for forever.
Right, that's coming out next year, right, or 2 years?
Yeah, I think it's soon, soonish. And my wife just walked in with an extremely wet tabby cat. I think the cat's just got a bath tonight.
Uh-oh.
And they're not happy. And then Shadow of the Hawk is from 1976, directed by George McGowan and Daryl Duke, starring Jan Michael Vincent.
Wow. Isn't he the fastest man on earth from that Disney movie? The world's greatest athlete. That's what he was.
The world's greatest athlete.
Yeah.
Marilyn Hassett and Chief Dan George. The westernized grandson of a shaman returns to the wilderness to learn more about his Native American heritage. When he encounters powerful evil spirits, he enlists the aid of his lover and a local chief to stop the spirits. So it's kind of like a Manitou.
I was going to say, it's very Manitou-ish.
If any of you have not seen Manitou, go listen to episode 2 of our podcast, which is still one of our best episodes.
Yeah, and I think we'll almost have to celebrate if that ever gets a re-release, like by Scream Factory or something. Can you imagine that?
Oh my gosh, we'd almost have to like re-release that episode, like cleaned up.
Yeah,
with better audio, like a remastered version of it.
Then we'll like ask them to put it on the disc.
The next one up is Schlock.
I don't know why it just cracks me up. The name.
Yeah, it's from 1973. I had to look this up and make sure it was technically horror because it's very obviously with a title like Schlock, you know, it's a very self-aware movie. But from 1973, this was released by Arrow. It's most notable because it was directed by John Landis. And
starring John Landis.
Yeah, starring John Landis, Saul Kahan, and Joseph Piantadosi. I love that name, Piantadosi. A small town is terrorized by the Banana Killer, which turns out to be the missing link between man and ape.
I don't know. This one is because of the Banana Killer. I don't know. It has great appeal to it.
It reminds me of what was the movie that on Big Bang Theory that Penny was going to star in?
Oh, Serial Apist. Yeah,
Serial Apist. Yeah, that's when I read this.
Probably was based on that. I bet. Yeah. And then remember, it's like she went to star in the sequel with Will Wheaton, but then they both left.
Oh my gosh, that's the first thing I thought of when I saw that.
It does say, just like that. It's like the Banana Killer. Okay, all right. Wait a minute.
Now this next one sounds really cool.
Yeah.
This one's called The Ghost of Sierra de Cobre. Or Cobra. Let's say Cobra.
Cobra! Remember that, the G.I. Joe cartoon? When they...
Yeah. Cobra. Cobra Commander.
Yes.
Year 1964, released by Kino Lorber, directed by Joseph Stefano, starring Martin Landau.
Hey.
Judith Anderson, Diane Baker. Terrified. This is a cool premise. Listen to this. Terrified of being buried alive by mistake, a woman puts a phone in her crypt to be able to call home if she needs help. She dies and nothing happens. One day, the phone suddenly rings. Paranormal investigator Nelson Orion is brought in.
It's almost like it sounds like a Twilight Zone kind of
It
thing.
really does, yeah. This one, no features, unfortunately, but it has a new 2K restoration. So.
But I want to know why she's always so terrified of being buried alive by mistake. She's always like wandering around and people like standing there with shovels behind her at all times. Like, what? Why? What? I mean, I guess it's an irrational fear to be buried alive, just period. But why is she so specifically worried about this crypt she's gonna get buried in? Or like, there must be more exposition probably in the movie. Like maybe she's really wealthy or something, and
Or
must be something.
Yeah, or she falls asleep and gets mistaken for dead a lot.
Yeah, like it's got to be some kind of thing. Well, there was I want to say I think it was one of the Ray Bradbury Theater things where I remember it was the coolest one, but it had a Twilight Zone-y type of twist where it was this prisoner, I guess, wanted to escape, and he made a deal with the guy. Do you remember that with the caretaker?
Yeah.
What was
Yes.
or was that a Tales from the Crypt? It was something on HBO, one of those things. Remember that? And then he took this thing to be buried, and then when he woke up, he realized the guy that made the deal with was already dead next to him, so he knew he was basically buried alive. That was that scared the hell out of me. It creeped me out.
Me too. I can't remember, but I saw that, I'll say recently. I've seen it within the last like 3 or 4 years.
I'm wondering if it is the Ray Bradbury one. I do have that complete box set I had bought on DVD, so I can look to see if that's it. But I want to say it's either like that. It was one of those, or Amazing Stories, or Tales from the Crypt. I don't think it was Tales from the Crypt. For some reason but I kind of remember being on HBO.
Yeah, I don't think it was Tales from the Crypt, but I definitely saw it because I knew exactly what you were talking about. Unless they did like maybe a redo of it in another show, but yeah, I remember that was a cool story.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was. I want to say it was Ray Bradbury. I'll look at it when we're off the air. I'm gonna go check that out now.
Next up is The House on Sorority Row from 1973, released by Scorpion Releasing, directed by Mark Rosman, starring Kate McNeil, Eileen Davidson, and Janice Ward.
That's got a lot of features. It's almost like a Scream Factory.
Yeah, after a seemingly innocent prank goes horribly wrong, a group of sorority sisters are stalked and murdered one by one in their sorority house while throwing a party to celebrate their graduation. And this one has a brand new 2K scan of the original negative with over 45 hours of color correction.
Wow.
How do you get 45 hours of color correction out of a 2-hour movie?
Yeah, what did they do? Would they keep going over it and over it and over it? What the heck?
I guess that means that they spent.
Yeah, maybe they spent 45 hours on it.
I misread that year. It's 1983. That was a typo.
Oh.
I was looking at that. I was like, man, that's a ahead of its time slasher. But
yeah.
It's 1983. Sorry.
Do you think it's 45 hours of like, do you think it was like over dramatized? Like the guy's like, well, it's okay. He goes, what do you mean okay? I spent over 45 hours on this thing. Wait, well, we'll put that as a special feature.
We'll put that as special features. I spent a week on this thing and 5 hours overtime. Brand new 5.1 surround sound mix from the original 3-track mag. Audio buffs, tell me what that is. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I'm not going to list the subtitles as a feature.
But this next one after the music score one seems interesting.
Oh, yeah. Isolated music score track. Watch the film in Katarina's Nightmare Theater mode. I have no idea what that is. I almost want this disc just to find out what that is.
I know. I want to see what this Nightmare Theater mode is. Yeah.
Audio commentary with director Mark Rosen and stars Eileen Davidson and Kate McNeil. And audio commentary with just director Mark Rosen. Interviews with director Mark Rosen. What? They did the... Oh my god. I can't even talk.
It's not even your fault. They messed him up on that one.
I literally copy-pasted these special features, and they spelled the director's name wrong. Like, completely got his name wrong.
And I bet you it's 4.5 hours of color correction. They probably messed that up, too.
They probably did. Director Mark Rosman, actress Harley Jane Kozak, actress Eileen Davidson, actress Katie McNeil, composer Richard Brand, and producer Ego Cantor. You get interviews with all those guys, a storyboard on the original ending, and the original trailers. So
yeah, I didn't know Harley Jane Kozak was in that. I don't think I realized that.
I gotta pick this one up. This one's cool. That's a cool. I haven't seen that one. And now we're getting into some of the more modern stuff. We got Unfriended Dark Web from this year, Universal Studios, directed by Steven Susko, starring Rebecca Rittenhouse.
Oh, Rittenhouse.
Yeah, that's from Timeless, right?
Yeah.
Colin Woodell and Betty Gabriel. A teen comes into possession of a new laptop and soon discovers that the previous owner is not only watching him, but will also do anything to get it back. This one has 3 alternate endings.
Sigh on that plot, but okay.
Yeah, I have not seen any of the Unfriendeds, and not like really hyped to do so.
I mean, you know what it is? It's just like a modernized version of a plot that's probably been done 1,000 times.
Yeah.
So, but wait, now, was this the one that the house was based on, or was it the original?
It was this one.
This one? Okay.
Yeah, the one in Hollywood, they did this one as part of the house.
Well, if I know if it's like the other horrors of Blumhouse, it has probably just like a whole bunch of laptops sitting there that you walk through. And...
Oh, I watched the walkthrough of it.
Oh, you did? Was it?
It's pretty lame. I'm sorry, guys. The Hollywood Horror Nights, the walkthroughs I've seen were nothing compared to the ones in Orlando.
It's so funny. Would you figure they would just duplicate?
Yeah, or you would think Hollywood, being the original, would have like the really, really good ones, but no, man. Orlando blew. At least the walkthroughs I've seen, and Poltergeist especially, completely different house in Hollywood and not nearly as good.
I'm wondering if it's the space issue, because I know now Universal. I've been on that park many a times back from when I was like 4 years old, and and I remember like the lots and the sound stages they have are massive, because that is a true working movie studio. But the areas where it's for, the tram tour takes you a lot of those stages, so they may not have the type of space to get you to get you through those houses. But remember that Universal Orlando was a theme park. Yes, they did recordings there, but it was very limited based on what they were doing in California. So that could be that, where they literally just don't have the space, and so they have to make a smaller version of every house, and which then leads to...
That could be. Yeah, that's a good... I bet you're right. I bet you're dead on with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to try both. I mean, let's put it this way: if I ever was in California at the time of Hollywood Horror Nights there, I would absolutely go. Yeah. But I would not make it a special trip when I have Orlando much closer.
No. So next up is Down a Dark Hall from 2018, released by Lionsgate, directed by Rodrigo Cortez. I think we talked about this one.
Yeah, I think when it was in the theatrical one, right?
Yeah.
Or it was maybe it never came out, but it was listed as a theatrical, possibly.
Yeah, because I remember Uma Thurman and Anna Sophia Robb.
Yeah.
And Isabel Furman are starring in this one. A troubled teen named Kit Gordy is forced to join the exclusive Blackwood boarding school just to find herself trapped by dark forces around its mysterious headmistress, Madame Durette.
Yeah, these two got to start aging, because they're going to get cast as teens forever.
Yeah. This one has a Welcome to Blackwood, venturing down a dark hall featurette and a deleted scene. Next up is one that sounds like I'd watch. It's called Short Night of Glass Dolls. I love those.
Yeah.
Love those crazy Italian titles.
Here's definitely a new release company.
Yeah, this one's from 1971. This is a company called Paralyzed, and they're limiting this one to 3,000 copies. I normally don't put the really limited editions, but 3,000, you have a pretty good chance of getting your hands on it.
Yeah. I mean, and especially because, first of all, I don't know how big this movie is. Like, I mean, for some reason, it could be a cult favorite that just escaped Tim and I all these years, but yeah, and I think the only thing Paralyzed, though, to us is going to be Tim's purchase, because I don't think he'll go seeking that at 3,000 copies anyway, though.
Yeah, and I think I have seen this one on Shudder. I've seen it somewhere for streaming recently. This one's directed by Aldo Lado. Aldo Lado.
Yeah.
It sounds like a Star Wars character.
It does. It's like...
I heard his great Star Wars joke, by the way.
Hit me with it.
What's the internal temperature of a tauntaun?
Oh, I think I know this one.
Lukewarm.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah,
that one I did hear. Okay.
So next up is Cold Skin from 2017, released by Samuel Goldwyn Films, directed by Xavier Jens, starring Ray Stevenson, not to be confused with Ray Stevens.
Yes.
David Oakes and Ora Garrido.
That's another like Star Wars character.
Yeah, Ora Garrido. Handshot
it's like
first.
A bounty hunter.
In 1914, a young man arrives at a remote island near the Antarctic Circle to take the post of weather observer, only to find himself trapped in a watchtower besieged by deadly creatures which live in hiding on the island.
That sounds cool, actually.
Sounds kind of cool. Yeah, it does. And then finally we have...
This one is just, I'm like blowing my mind reading this thing.
An accidental zombie named Ted. from
So
2017.
I like how named Ted though is in parentheses.
Yeah,
That's what's funny. So that's like they're not sure yet. Like if they wanted to commit to that full title, is that why they did that?
I guess. But this one will be of interest to horror fans because it stars Kane Hodder
Yeah.
and Naomi Grossman and Cameron McKendry. Released by Gravitas Ventures, directed by Ann Wells, so a female horror director. That's cool.
Yeah.
Ted knows he's not a zombie. He just picked up a, quote, skin thing on his vacay in the Caribbean. But his hilariously kooky family is not convinced, especially after he brings home a hot vampire he met in group therapy.
This actually sounds really fun, this movie.
It does, yeah. I'll have to check this one out. And it got Kane Hodder. I'll check anything out with
Yeah.
Kane Hodder,
Was he like the dad, you think?
I don't know.
'Cause I'd love to see him in like a comedy familial role like that, you know? It's like...
Yeah, just not in makeup. You know,
Yeah.
that'd be cool. So we didn't have any true horror theatrical releases this week, but I had to put in an honorable mention. And that is Goosebumps 2 Haunted Halloween, directed by Ari Sandel, starring Jack Black, Wendy McClendon-Covey, and Madison Eisman. Halloween comes to life in a comedy adventure based on R.L. Stein's 400 million selling series of books. I put this one in there because my kids love the Goosebumps movie.
Well, it is,
the original.
but it is horror for kids. I
Yeah,
mean...
and it's really good too. Like I like really enjoy it, and I've seen people on like the Shockwaves horror group and everything. They love the Goosebumps series, even though it is kid oriented. I mean, they're fun, especially for Halloween.
Yeah, no, and I mean, in all honesty, R.L. Stein selling $400 million series of books. I think he deserves the right to get his get a mention here.
Yeah, and this one actually, I'm gonna definitely go take the kids to see it. Partially because I want to see it. I know they want to see it, but also because it's Halloween like themed. So I think it's actually going to be actually even cooler than the first one in terms of like the Halloween spirit, I guess.
Yeah, but that's good though that kids get horror because then they could get into, you know, then they kind of get exposed to like light horror back, you know, to see if they even like the whole topic. At least it'll get them into Halloween. This one, it seems like so.
Yeah, and speaking of which, there's a show on Netflix called Creeped Out.
Oh, I saw that. I put that on my to watch list. I don't know what it was though.
It's basically a modern version of Goosebumps. It's definitely more kid oriented, but it's entertaining enough. Like I've enjoyed watching them with the kids,
cool.
So it's worth checking out. But yeah, it's kind of maybe it skews just a tad older than Goosebumps, maybe because it has like the first one is about a girl that gets a new phone and it's affecting her social media and stuff. So I think it's more directed towards the
like teens, right? Yeah,
teen crowd. Yeah, but it's really good. It's actually really cool.
Oh, neat.
All right, so our main feature this week is The First Purge, which of course is the prequel to the Purge series. We've already had 3 Purge movies. We had The Purge, we had The Purge Anarchy, and then we had The Purge Election Year. And this one kind of tells you the story of the original Purge and how it all came about. So,
which is kind of good that they did that.
Yeah, they've hinted at it. They've hinted at it in the other movies, but this is kind of like the full story. This one's directed by Gerard McMurray, starring Ilan Noel, Lex Scott Davis, Joyvan Wade. I knew the names were too easy this week. And Marissa Tomei. America's third political party, the New Founding Fathers of America, comes to power and conducts an experiment. No laws for 12 hours on Staten Island. Isn't that how Staten Island typically is?
I was going to say, yeah,
like
it's no different than it is now. No one
has to stay on the island, but $5,000 is given to anyone who does.
By the way, that is still in effect because they need to have people on Staten Island or it's going to sink. So they... they do give $5,000. Come on, stay. It's not so bad, please.
So the economy's in a shambles. You know, there's people are basically rioting in the streets because the government's let them down so much. So this third political party arises, and it gets backing from the NRA, and it gets heavily funded. And one of their politicians ends up getting elected president, and so they have kind of a radical approach to crime and how to resolve it. And one of their experiments is going to be the Purge, which is they think that by giving people one night to release all of their anger or whatever, that they'll reduce crime the rest of the year because people will just wait till Purge Night and get it out of their system.
Right. Well, Marissa Tomei's character was convinced. She did a study that she thinks by giving people that kind of thing, it would help them clear their mind. It was like basically, the obvious what the reason, why they, they said it in the other movies, like, oh, this has been done so that people, But it's kind of neat to see the way it, like, because, you always wondered how how on earth did this thing ever become to be a real thing? Like, well, in the movie world, that is, like, how who would agree to this? It's like, how would they even start this? So it's kind of cool that we get to see it.
You got the most hints of it in Purge election year.
Yeah.
Because you had the woman who was fighting against it.
Right.
And that kind of gave you some clues as to how it originated in the first place.
Right.
But this one kind of gives you the real background. And I have to say, like, from an overall perspective, this one to me was probably the weakest of the four for me personally, only because it's probably the least scary. For me, this one was more, like you said, Brian, more of an action thriller or suspense thriller than a horror movie, kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, they did have one cool character. They had the Skeletor.
Yeah, he was scary, that guy.
He was scary, yeah.
He was in the house, remember? That was the first guy that I think jumps out at you.
Oh, really? Is that who that was supposed to be?
Yeah, I think that was supposed to be him, the guy that came out, because he did that, like, when I remember that kind of laugh. I mean, it wasn't a very good representation of it, like some of the other characters that we saw representing their counterparts in the movies. But, yeah, I assume that's what it was. And actually that, and when we get into this little, I want to say, like, some of the spots that, like, I can't believe that the Haunt didn't use. But, so, yeah, so kind of basically, so what you get here is you kind of get a brother and a sister. The like most purges, they kind of focus on a small, at least one group.
Yeah, like
I
one
guess.
Family.
Yeah, and in this, it's the brother and the sister. And the brother is supposed to be... It's kind of like the sister's kind of anti-purge. She's anti all this. She's, you could tell she was dating the drug kingpin, who's this like big guy in Staten Island, and but she's gonna move past that, and she's trying to find another way to get out of the her situation. And obviously they did something right because they had a great Halloween 2018 poster that Blumhouse so candidly hung in there twice.
Yeah.
Did you notice that right away?
Yeah.
I was like so excited. I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. But yeah, so he's, and the brother's secretly selling drugs for this guy unbeknownst to his sister, and also he gets attacked by Skeletor when he's trying to do one of his first sales. So now that this purge comes along, he lies to his sister. He was supposed to be in Brooklyn, but he decides no, he's going to purge and get revenge on Skeletor, which does not go well at the beginning. He tries to go after him, and he realizes it's just not him, and he narrowly escapes, but then he kind of ends up going through this gauntlet to try and find his sister, who then has to go out and try and find him, and basically he's endangering both of them. And it's just and that's where one of the sequences where I cannot believe that the house did not pick this one up. First of all, so in this movie, I guess anyone that decides to purge, it's almost like you have to register, and they give you these contact lenses that glow in the dark, but also can, I guess, are cameras. And so I'm like, how cool would that have been? You're literally in a total dark thing, and you just see those eyes in the Haunt, right?
Oh yeah, that'd have been cool.
Right? And then those two crazy ladies where they set that like weird thing where he's running through and all the things are sparking behind him and around him because they trap him, those two wacko old ladies. Like, you tell me that couldn't have been a section in the Haunt too? Instead, it's just random people jumping out at you that you have no clue who they are. Yeah. I'm like, they missed such a golden opportunity. I thought, like, well, maybe the movie just had no reason, but and after seeing that sequence, I was like, oh my God, there's like so many things you could have done. And you could have had Skeletor pop out multiple times because he's really scary.
He's the primary character.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, it's not a movie that lends itself well to a Haunt because it's really not that scary per se.
No, but they could have made it at least like the movie. Yeah, I mean, the same with Happy Death Day. I don't think it was particularly scary, but they still did a good job of well representing the sequences in the film.
Yeah. So I mean, for my money, The second Purge is probably the best one in terms of just scares. Because
and that had a both. I think that had both. It had that cool action adventure and the scope of running around the city, as opposed to being like trapped in just one single house like in the first one. But it also had a lot of good scares to it. You know, it was more scary or.
Yeah, plus you had like you had more of the mask type people, type stuff. That's what I really liked. I mean, that's the main draw of the Purge, right? Is the crazy people in the mask and stuff,
right.
So.
Well, this one had that too, to some degree, but it also, this one you could tell they were really trying to make a political statement with some not so subtle
right
jabs around there. Like, I mean, literally she basically made that whole thing, you know, when the guy grabbed her in a certain area and she yelled out, I'm like, okay, that's not too obvious what they're trying to
I think my primary problem with the movie is that being a prequel, they basically had to scale back the Purge.
Right.
Which is, you know, we've built this up through 3 movies now, and it's escalated every time. You know, Purge 1 was in the house. Purge 2 was on the streets. Purge 3 was even more on the streets, and it was bigger.
Yeah,
but you're kind of scaling back to like the basics.
Yeah, but I also think this one was trying to set up the corruptness of even of what's supposed to be a freeing thing is actually got another backstory to being actually super corrupt, you know, and it's almost like it's got its own agenda where it was really supposed to be, you know, under the guise of, this will help society, everyone will be out, you know. Well, really, they just want to eliminate people, so.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which I think I kind of picked that up during election year. Kind of.
Yeah, they hinted at it, I think, in the second one, I remember. Didn't they, a little bit? So
yeah, they did. I mean, over the course of the movies, we kind of knew what this movie was going to be about before we went into it. So I guess maybe in that respect, too, it probably wasn't very surprising. It's still an entertaining movie.
Oh, I enjoyed it. Yeah, no, I enjoy all the Purge movies. And I have to catch up. I think I'm only 2 episodes into the series. We have a couple on the DVR. But I enjoy the series. I enjoy the you know, the plot. I mean, because it's a cool premise to watch, as long as it never actually becomes a reality. It's great to watch because it's kind of
now. One thing I thought about, this is kind of sick on my part, but I always think of the plot holes of the Purge movies, but like I always thought about, they never like go into like sexual crimes or something or anything like that.
Well, they kind of hinted at this one a little bit. Remember, they just had the couple was having just like you know, sex outside, you know, like in like
but it's
public,
like the repercussions of that would be like very traumatic to certain individuals,
right?
If that was really allowed, you know, that'd probably be one of the primary things people would do.
Well, I think they think that one guy tried to grab her into that way, the sister at one point, but I know, you know, and I think, well, because I think, you know, in terms of you know, like I thought this movie, the pacing started off well. Like, I think that's the way it would have been if they actually did this. You know, because you give people license to kill, that doesn't mean they're going to take it. You know, you have to still be a killer in there. So I think the way how people are just doing parties, they're like, we could just have the wildest party ever, and they can't tell us what we're doing.
That was really cool. Like, I really like that about this movie, because I was thinking, okay, everybody goes crazy, but no, it wasn't. In fact, it surprised them, because most people are just having block parties and dancing.
Yeah. And then, you know, and then when you saw, and that's, I gotta say, that scene was really cool. When Skeletor just creeps up to them, you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
They have no clue this guy's coming like that. And, you know, they had that. And then the guy that's like, you know, he goes, you know what, this bank has been taking money from me forever. I'm going to get it back, you know, kind of a thing. Yeah. And it's like, you figure like that would probably be realistically, I think that would be the first thing that would happen. Those kind of things, like the reign of like, I'm going to just do stuff that they tell me I'm not allowed to do normally on just the basic level. You know, murder is still, you have to kind of have something wrong to actually be capable.
I think most
of
us like would not even participate.
No, Julie and I always talk about it every time we watch either one of the movies or the show. We always say, like, if this was a real thing in this country, we would, like, a week before, like every year we plan to be literally out of the country for 2 weeks, like a week ahead and a week around. We don't want to be around it.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, it's going to be mostly criminals doing crime.
Right.
It's going to be people that are going to do that anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, I get it. I mean, it's interesting to me that they always. I'm thinking of it like in realistic terms. like the types of crimes people would do, like the way they would steal and break into buildings, and break into stuff and just grab stuff and loot and stuff. I don't know that they show like the full extent of that all the time in these movies.
Right,
like,
and I think that's what would happen the most, I think.
Yeah, it's like they focus on like a very narrow subset of crime that people would do. Like, what about arson? Why wouldn't the whole freaking city be up in flames?
Yeah, right. It's like, you figure it's like they go after. Well, I mean, it's hard because in a movie like that, they try and focus on, like, they're trying to find follow a certain plot point of a family or a group or a person. So I mean, you don't. But like even in some scenes, you don't see that. Like you figure you would be walking down the street and you'd see people smashing it, but then there's the element you think of, okay, maybe they're literally afraid to be out on the street because they don't want to get killed from behind.
Embezzlement. So I've got a computer program that's going to embezzle $10 million, and I'm just going to hit the key.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Purge Night. And now I got my $10 million. You can't do anything.
Right. Yeah. So, or like like I could see, I was like thinking, like if somehow I got trapped in the purge, like I would never be able to do any of the really horrible things. I think the most thing I do is I go into maybe a beverage place and grab some good beers. That'd be the top.
I'm gonna go grab a couple of the Shout Factory collector.
And knowing me, I'd still feel guilty and leave money. I just because I can't. I'm not that person, So it's like I'd like. So it's like what would you like? Yeah. So it's like I think they've yet to really. This came the closest, if you think about it, to probably capture what it would be like when this is a new phenomenon to people.
It's just interesting because they've never gone to what the extremes they could go to,
right?
But they've never got. It's almost like they're having to like make this balance of like this this kind of mainstream. But if you think about it in realistic terms, like it would either be way less horrible or way more horrible.
Yeah.
I think it would be way more, honestly, but I think it would be mostly, like you said, mostly like arson and looting type things.
Yeah, and I definitely think like that the one of the most realistic things was those with the block parties where people were just celebrating that they could do whatever they want in the street. Woo! Yeah, like that's what it would be, I think, more than anything originally. I mean, granted, I think once someone things start happening, and I know this is gonna sound bizarre, but it's almost like that thing like where you're on a much lesser scale when you're at like a party and you don't want to be that first person to like touch the food because it's all nice and done. It's like that, the same thing. It's like someone would not like it would be like, other than you're a psycho like Skeletor who's proud that he was the first person to actually murder on Purge Night, you'd almost be hesitant to be the first one to do it, because first of all, I would still question it. I'd be like, well, are they just trying to trap us here? Are they gonna say, "Oh, fooled you, we're gonna arrest you now," kind of thing. Yeah, also, there's that, so there's so many elements. I think that this one captured that better than the other ones, but then again, it had the advantage because it was the first one. The other ones are already in there. You don't know quite how many years it's been going. I mean, they may say it, but I don't remember if they said, specifically how many years it's been going on. But
it reminds me too of like when states legalize marijuana,
right?
And they always like, don't legalize marijuana because you have like every kid will be stoned, and there'll be like people like running their cars off bridges because they're all high. And that doesn't happen.
Nothing like that happens. So
the people that are going to buy marijuana are going to go buy it, and the people that don't smoke pot are not going to go buy it and just start smoking pot.
Yeah, I mean, would possibly someone who never had it before and may go in and try it once because it's cool, I'll get a brownie or a cookie, maybe, but it's like it's like people think that well, actually, I mean, a lot of people feel that, like, you legalize all drugs and stuff like that could benefit because then it'll knock down the crime, because if there's that, that whole psychological profile of people, there are people that just want what they can have and will, and
right. It's like, if they legalized heroin tomorrow, I'm not going to go out and start doing heroin.
Oh my God, definitely not. I wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, it's like,
it's like, I mean, you got to have something in your character that's going to go down that route anyway.
Right, and that's the whole thing about this. It's like, you can allow people to do it. It doesn't mean they're going to do it. And I think that's why, like, they were so shocked at first. But there was one weird line, and Julie actually kind of walked in at this part and kind of said that, where they said, like, she goes, where she thought that it may, like, start right off the bat crazy and then lessen throughout the night. When I was like, and Julie said, "Well, but that doesn't make much sense." And I'm like, "Hey, you're right. Why would it happen all crazy and then die down? I think it would be exactly the way it happened, where it would slowly start at not much and then become possibly
People
something
would get
bad.
more. Yeah, they'd get less hesitant.
Yeah,
other people would do it.
It's the food analogy. Who wants to ever be the first person to take that chip and put in a fresh rounded dip? It's like...
Exactly. Oh, one other thing I want to mention before we wrap up the movie is
because we got to get to Joy Schatz at Joy Behar before people turn off.
But
and the beer,
almost all minorities in this movie. It was almost primarily minority cast, which was cool for a horror film.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
So if you want to see I think people talked about Get Out, being minorities in horror, represented in horror films, but this is a good example of that. Right? I mean, it's primarily African American and Asian characters,
and the cast was fantastic. I have to say, the cast was amazing.
They were really, really good. Yeah,
there was not one over the top bad performance in it. Even Skeletor was crazy, but that's exactly what he was supposed to be. And that guy legitimately scared me. He was so crazy in it.
Yeah, he was really.
That
really
guy
good.
is like
he's probably the best he's the best part of the whole movie. Right?
Oh yeah, he is. He's just so creepy, and that thing he's walking around with the needles coming out of his hand, almost like Freddy Krueger. That's crazy, but yeah.
Well, speaking of Skeletor, what do you got for our beer pairing?
Well, I figured, one of the most memorable points of this movie was him, and I happened to find something called Skeletor IPA. And it's by Naughty Monk Brewery in Bradenton, Florida. And this is it's pretty strong. It's a 9.4% ABV. It's an Imperial Double IPA, and it says the description is rich double IPA with a strong hop bitterness up front, warming alcohol aroma with a dry bitter hop finish. That sounds delicious.
It sounds like a tough one there.
Yeah, I like it though. I would definitely take a. That would be the only. That and the He-Man Skeletor. I think would be the only Skeletors I'd interact with. I don't think I'd go with that other Skeletor.
I can't get my voice up that high. You could probably do it better since you do the Crypt Keeper.
Yeah, I haven't tried him though. I'll practice that and I'll debut it on a later episode.
All right, so our 6 degrees of decapitation. Last week we asked you to connect Joy Schatz to Joy Behar. Well, Joy Schatz was in Freud's Magic Powder with Scott COHN. Scott COHN was in Private Parts with Richard Portnow, and Richard Portnow was in Hiding Out with Joy Behar. So we did it in 3, another 3. That's good. So this week,
and this is a 3. I'll give you a hint. It's a 3.
It's a 3. Yeah, we got Brian's on a roll here with the current week. We're going to do Lex Scott Davis to Mackenzie Davis. So try to connect those two.
And Lex Scott Davis, she plays the sister. She was really good in this.
So before we wrap things up, as we hinted at the start of the episode, we have a little bonus for you guys. We have our man on the ground, Steve COHN, to give us a report on all things Comic-Con. He was there, and we'll hear from him right now. So hey guys, here we are with Steve COHN. He's back from Comic-Con, and he's got a lot of news for us. So take it away, Steve.
Hi guys, thanks for having me again.
Anytime.
All right, so it's been a busy 4 days of running around New York. I had Brian tracking everything on social media for me, and I was inside trying to keep up with as much as possible. Let's see, lots to cover. I'll talk about, they had there was a Shudder panel. I know you guys covered Creep Show. Did you discuss the Joe Bob Briggs announcement?
No.
I think we might have maybe. I don't think we actually.
Yeah, I think we mentioned it, Tim, to each other. I don't think we actually mentioned it on the show.
Yeah, I don't think we did it on the show. Yeah, so give us.
Well, Thanksgiving Day on November 22nd, he's going to be doing movies where dinners go wrong, and supposedly one of them is going to be one of the goriest movies ever. No idea what it is, but it sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, I wonder if it's Dead Alive. Cool. Remember?
That was my first thought. Was Dead Alive.
What is it? Sumatran Monkey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. One of the things Brian had me tracking down was they had the Shape from Halloween wandering around and outside Comic-Con, and Todd McFarlane had done a specially commissioned poster of the Shape, so you had to find him in New York, like right outside the con grounds. He would post from the POV of his mask, so you had to find him. They would give you the poster, and then you had to pose like you were about to be stabbed by him. So over the 4 days, Brian had me looking for him a lot.
Of course I did.
But But I did manage to get the poster, and I even got a spare, so maybe you can give that away in a future contest. It's a New York Comic Con exclusive one.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Yeah, and Kara got one, right? That she was the one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, another friend of ours. I was going to say there was lots of posters everywhere. There's a new CBS All Access series called Tell Me a Story, which is Kevin Williamson of Scream fame and Dawson's Creek and other scary things, and it's modern fairy tales in New York. So it looks like it could be a little in that fine line between realistic but also hinging on fantasy and scary.
That's cool.
So that's the end of this month.
Nice.
I was going to say they had a great display for the upcoming movie Glass. They had a fake comic book shop. So there were signs saying
awesome.
heroes and villains. And I put up.
Oh, that's cool.
It was pretty cool. They even had a stock with some board games and some comics with various characters. And the gimmick was, in addition to that, you can do a poster, and you could make a poster with one of the three colors of the lead characters.
Oh, that's cool.
So that was very cool. I was going to say they debuted, getting back to Creepshow from earlier, they debuted the first poster of the new artwork. So did you both see that?
I have not seen
Oh,
that.
yeah. You know what? I don't think I saw that.
Take a look. It's all over the news, but Entertainment Weekly broke it like 2 days before the con. So usually by the time you get to a con, there's very little news to actually break anymore.
Especially with Entertainment Weekly. They seem to jump the
Yes.
gun on everything.
Yeah, so I have to tell you, the two of you, about my favorite panel of Comic-Con is the upcoming movie Anna and the Apocalypse. Are you either of you familiar with it? Scottish zombie high school musical.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that sounds
Do yourself a favor, check out the trailer. It came out in overseas last year. Orion is putting it out this November in the States. And so the cast was there. They showed us two of the musical numbers, and they gave the same thing. They did an exclusive poster, which I got some extras, so maybe, again, we can get that to the fans somehow. And they even gave us a cassette single from the new movie.
Oh, wow. Is it like Anna Kendrick in the Apocalypse, or just Anna in the Apocalypse?
Just Anna.
Oh,
but
okay.
it's one of those things where they basically describe it as like La La Land meets Shaun of the Dead. So
Oh, that
How
sounds cool. And I love musicals. And
Yeah, how
zombies, so-
kid friendly is it? Is it a total R?
it's not.
Oh, okay.
It's really gory, but it's the same thing where it's like they're kind of they start out kind of oblivious, just going through their own lives, and it's just like what you see going on in the background and how they start disposing of them is insane. And then, of course, by the third act, you start to care about all these characters, and it starts going, darker and darker.
Because that would have been great to take your daughter to if it was like somewhat kid friendly. Because of the name.
Yeah, I think I'll stick with the Goosebumps.
Yeah, you better
too,
go to
thanks.
Goosebumps. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, if you're trying to introduce kids to zombies, I say either Zombieland or Shaun of the Dead. Again, it's more comedy than anything. Till that third act.
Yeah.
That is
I
true.
was gonna say there were some great artists I saw. Chris Omega.
Oh,
I
yeah,
shared
you
with-
got to talk
yeah.
about that. That was cool.
I shared this with Brian. He's an artist. He works with DC. He works with Disney. He works with lots of different companies. But he's Omega 720 on Twitter, and he did this artwork of like a third grade classroom portrait of basically all your most famous horror movie villains. Bad guys, killers.
That was the ones I showed you, Tim. That COHN got me. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was cool. Yeah.
But also, there's a lot of subtle things. Like I was telling Brian, they hit a lot of extra characters in the the margins of the posters. So there's some great artwork for that. And he did another one of like the classic villains. And then there's another artist, Jason Edmonston, and he did this great black and white series of horror houses with just a hint of red in them. So it's something like the Nightmare on Elm Street house with just like a little bit of blood near the door, or he did the Psycho house.
Yeah, Tim, these are so cool. You would love these things.
Oh, yeah, I want to
Yeah,
see
you got to look those up because Steve
Yeah.
sent it to me, I think, in a picture. I forgot to forward that one to you.
I was going to say, or you could, feel free to link it via Civil Gore website. Otherwise, I was going to say the other thing that this artist does is he does a series of close-ups of eyes. So it's really interesting artwork.
Is it like,
Okay.
what's his, Crystal Fultz, like, where he, like, big eyes, where he goes, "I'll have you whacked!" Is it like...
Except he's not taking credit for somebody else's work.
Oh, okay, so he's actually doing it? Okay, that's good.
Yes, he's actually doing it. Other than that, I was going to say Super 7 had a great booth set up. Super 7 used to work with Funko Pop, and they used to do the reaction line of figures.
All right, yeah, we talked about that earlier in the show about the monster ones coming back, but and then I had hinted that you had some info on that too, on the other ones.
Yeah, I do. They had a New York Comic-Con exclusive. They did a set of the original cast of the movie Alien. They did 6 figures that were amazing, and then they also did some. They did some licensing off the band The Misfits, But actually, the biggest seller, and Tim will appreciate this, is they did Halloween buckets of the original Universal monsters. You can guess what the first thing to sell out was during the 4 days.
Frankenstein.
No. Come on, Tim
Gotta
would
be
know.
Creature.
It would be the Creature.
Well, I figured Tim would. That's his favorite, but I didn't know that was going to sell out.
Yes, Tim.
So
Tim
get out of here
bought
with
them
your
all.
Frankenstein.
Well, I'm looking
Come
because
on.
Dude, it's Frankenstein's monster. Get it right.
that's true. Well, it says Frankenstein in the picture you sent me. So I was just reading the
know.
picture. But yes, I do know that. Yeah.
Rookie mistake.
Did you see that funny artwork that someone was posting around where it showed Freddy Krueger walking out upset, and Frankenstein monster walking next to him going, "I told you, fire bad." That's great.
Oh, love it.
I wish that was a print I could buy.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Other than that, I got a lot of great pictures of the Mezco booths again. They've got. I mean, they have all those the horror Jack in the Box line they've got coming out. They have a. I was gonna say it looks like maybe about a 10-inch Nightmare on Elm Street, or how big? I'm sorry, 10-inch Jason Voorhees with sound effects.
Oh, cool.
I sent you the artwork on that.
Oh, is that
They
for
also-
part 4?
Hold on,
Like-
I'm gonna look at the picture right now and tell you.
And you also saw those muscular,
Yeah, it says mega figure with sound. It looks like. See, he's got the red mask, so that would be. Come on, trivia team, which one would that be?
red man. Well, he's always
Well,
got,
it's got
red
the-
on it.
Oh, has the red marks on it?
I think that's all of them. Except Roy's. Roy had a blue.
Yeah, Roy had blue. I got killed so much in Friday the 13th, the game, you'd think I'd know which color's what.
Yeah.
It's not a bag head, I know that much.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it's from what I remember, I think is it by NECA did it? Did they do it?
This is Mezco,
Oh, Mezco. Okay.
MECCO. Yeah, so they're the ones doing the Jack in the Box line, and they're the ones. I mean, they've got like these. They almost look like the Living Dead doll ones. They got all the
okay.
licenses on those. So they got a Sam coming out.
Yeah, and you told me to remind you about the Garbage Pail Kid line or something.
Oh
too.
yes, yeah. So the other big thing is this past week, the Garbage Pail Kids put out you can buy an entire box of them. They're called Oh the Horrible, and basically it's all their parodies of 80s and 90s and 70s horror movies. So they have things.
Yeah, I've been looking for these and I can't find them anywhere.
Yeah, so like at Comic-Con, they were teasing one that says GPK Show instead of Creep Show, and it says Creep Joe for like Joe Hill.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, and they also did a line of Stranger Things ones that I saw there.
Oh, Steve, if you see those, pick a box up for Tim because I know he's been looking at those. And Steve's always in the
Yeah, I
city.
really
He
want
gets
those.
those. He's always by those stores that have them. So
Yeah, but they definitely, they were covering all the great horror movie parodies. So, and there's a special they were selling in. There's another one called Oh the Horrible, and it's shaped like a tombstone, and it comes with 5 packs and quote 3 exclusive bathroom buddy stickers. So I don't know what they are, but if you see a tombstone version, that's it.
oh, cool. I wonder if they do an It Follows one because my mind goes in the gutter with one of the ones I could say for that one. But
I was gonna say, yeah. The other thing Mezco was selling is they have an Annabelle doll now and a Nun doll,
oh.
both unsettling.
Yeah, that's got to be creepy. Oh, yeah. Off topic, Tim. I got a reminder to tell you about. Did you watch that Nun walkthrough haunt thing at the Warner Brothers studio? Yeah, you got to see that. That thing is good. Yeah, Steve, you need to check that out too. I guess the Warner Brothers studio tour has some sort of haunted sequence where they have the Conjuring Universe section, and there is one of the best haunt things that I've seen done featuring the Nun. It's really cool. It's on. People have been posting it online, so you can probably find it. I think Theme Park Duo was the one that had it on Instagram, but I think I've seen it on a couple of other ones.
All right, I'll definitely keep an eye out for that. And even though it's not horror related, it's horror to me. I went to a Sea of Thieves panel because Lord knows I've been eaten by many a shark and crackers.
Hey, that counts on here.
It does.
We could be a little off topic.
So one of the great things was, as an incentive to everybody that went, is we all got a quote spinal figurehead, which because the people that did Sea of Thieves also did Killer Instinct, the video game. So we have a skeleton now for the mast of our ship.
Nice. Yeah, we got to get back to playing that. So Cohen, any cool cosplay things you saw?
Well, my own daughter Sophia, she went as Georgie, and just she had the rain boots, and she had the slicker, and she was just silently walking through the place carrying a balloon on a stick.
Yeah, I forgot to tell you that, Tim. That was she was dressed up so good.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was cool.
So many people were stopping her, just going, "It's Georgie, it's Georgie," and because she wouldn't say anything, it was just creeping them out because she was also holding the balloon in front of her face. But it did. So many people stopped her to take pictures, so that made her day. Because again, anytime that you're recognizing the costume was perfect.
Yeah, no, and because she's so, she was like the right size, and you had the hood was so big, so you couldn't really see her face too well. It was great. The way
And it turned out, and it was the jacket was a slight size larger, so some people couldn't even see her right hand, so it looked like the arm had been ripped off. So it was perfect.
Oh my god, that's even
Easy
better.
costume.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, something else I wanted to tell you guys. I saw FYE was selling it. I'm guessing it's probably distributed nationwide. You can look for it, but they have these things called like geeky tikis, and they're tiki glasses. They did one of Halloween, Friday the 13th. Let's see. So you can get Mike Myers, you can get Jason, and you can also get Pinhead.
Oh, nice.
So I have unfortunately it says Pinhead from Hellraiser Inferno. So I know you guys just suffered through those.
Really, they had to signify which movie he's from.
That's the one they chose,
know,
really?
like,
It's probably the only license they could
Probably,
get.
right? Yeah. Well, that's like my cool Michael Myers shirt. It's basically, technically, it says Halloween Resurrection on the tag, but oh well.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll get a better one this year.
Yeah. No, there were some great cosplay. I mean, there was Pennywise was very popular. Spider-Man was very popular this year. There's always a collection of Deadpools. I don't know what the plural form of Deadpools are. Is it a gaggle? Is it a flock?
Yeah.
I don't know. But there's a ton of them. But speaking of Spider-Man, they showed us, we got to see the first 35 minutes of the new Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie.
Oh, that's a cartoon, right?
Yeah, that's the cartoon, and it ties into all universes. So it has like Peter Porker, it's got Spider-Man Noir, it's got Miles Morales.
Wow, it's actually got Peter Porker in it?
It does. It's John Mulaney. If you see the trailer, it's John Mulaney doing the voice.
Okay, that's cool.
But we did that. I did the panel for Good Omens, which is the Neil Gaiman one with David Tennant, Michael Sheen, and John Hamm.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
It's from what they showed us, it looks brilliant. So.
Has it got any easier to get into the panels? I remember that last time I was there when I vowed not to go for a while because we could remember that time we just waited 3 hours and still didn't get into a panel that day.
Yeah, they've changed it. What happens now? For the main stage, they clear it out after every panel, and you can, if you have a pass, what happens is you can enter in advance for a lottery to be guaranteed a seat.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
So we've done that for some panels. Otherwise, they retain half for in person. And then for places like theater at Madison Square Garden, they had other panels, and that one you could sit all day. So like we did Good Omens, and we did.
Oh, so at least they spread it out now, so it's not all in the Javits, I guess, huh?
Correct. Yeah, actually, it's in four or five locations now. They do Hammerstein Ballroom, they do the theater at Madison Square Garden, they have an offsite that Entertainment Weekly was doing. And I was going to say, if you haven't seen it yet, Hellboy had a panel there this past weekend for the new one. The poster's out, and I think there might be a teaser coming soon.
Ah, okay. And it's David Harbour's Hellboy, right?
Correct.
That's
and that
awesome.
comes out. That got pushed back to April, so it was supposed to be January originally.
Give him some more time. I don't mind. So you had fun overall there, COHN?
I did. It's always a marathon. You just have to pace yourself and just know you're going to be bumped and pushed in every darn direction. And that said, it's still lots of freebays, lots of cool costumes, and I'm always happy to get about 90% of the references. I'm not as up on the manga and anime, but every so often I'm like, oh wait, I know that.
Yeah. Well, but you had Kara with you. One of the, she won't take any kind of pushing. She'll just knock everyone down if they bother her.
That is correct, and she did.
There you go.
Oh, and yeah, I was gonna say something else that I'll have to share with you guys. Is there was this booth called Horror Show Jack, and he takes all these stuffed animals and teddy bears, and it's kind of like he grafts like famous horror villains on them. So it's really disturbing. But brilliant stuff.
Nice. See, Tim, that's how you introduce your kids to horror. Replace their actual teddy bears with these.
Well, I do have a kind of a stuffed in a way. I've got one of those Michael Myers dolls that plays the Halloween theme, but he's like he's like squishy except for his head. So I have had Joshua sleep with that from time to time.
They liked horror. Like, I know we said it, but they were like, I really think they would have probably enjoyed some of the other houses. We just picked the wrong one to put them through.
Yeah, we picked like the worst house.
Yeah, I heard you guys talking about that. Just starting them off the bat that way.
Yeah, that was a.
But you know what?
Error.
It didn't kill them, so it'll make them stronger, right?
Exactly. Oh yeah, and COHN, I feel bad. I apologize for not remembering Les Lie at the time of or you can't do that on television retrospective last week. I couldn't remember it. And I'm like,
Barth.
COHN is going to kill me. I don't remember his name. All right. Thank you, though, Steve, man. You always come through with some good stuff on there. 'Cause COHN gets around to these places.
Yeah, that's very exciting to hear from somebody who was there and got the inside scoop on that stuff.
And like I said, I have lots of photos that I'm happy to share with all you guys because, again, it's a collective universe between all the books and movies and everything else. Oh, so, speaking of books, just one more thing is that I think Random House is putting out a line of Stranger Things books. So they gave us, we all got Hawkins library cards.
Oh, cool.
And so they're stamped. They gave us a sealed sampler with some of the new books because there's 1113 called How to Survive in a Stranger Things World, which is kind of like their book about the series. And they got Worlds Turned Upside Down, which is on sale 10/30. And then they also have comics out now. So for those who are,
Did they borrow that from Hamilton? World Turn Upside Down? Or?
they did, except there's no Demogorgon singing yet.
Oh, okay.
Yet.
That'll be soon.
Oh, and actually, again, it's not as scary, but I did go to a panel for the new Harry Potter play, which I did get to see this past year. And
Oh, that's right. You saw it. Yeah, and Amanda's going to that, right, Tim?
Yeah, she is.
they're gonna love it. It's absolutely amazing.
Cool. That's going to be around for a couple of years, right?
Oh, easily. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So start saving now.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll definitely have to put that on my radar. Now they got Hamilton checked off, you know. But alrighty, Steve. Once again, you come through with awesome news, and we'll definitely we'll have live COHN video when we're at Chiller. I'll make sure I get some.
Oh yeah, you got to do that.
I'll try and
That'd
get
be
the selfie stick to actually work.
Did you get a new one yet?
Yeah, it was $7. It was so easy to get. But yeah, I got to use it literally one time for our opening video of the horror challenge. So, and by the way, how you doing with your horror challenge, Steve? I heard you're at 1, right? Or you started off at
1.
Yeah, so COHN's a little behind. But
I had 2 different families in my house during Comic-Con weekend. There was enough of a horror.
Yeah, no, yeah. COHN was pretty busy. COHN leads a busy life. All right, buddy. Well, thank you again for coming on and giving us the goods.
Happy to do it, guys.
Yeah, thanks again, Steve.
All righty. And that, again, was New York ComicCon Report by Stephen COHN.